Okay, here we are working with video. This is Berman with another tutorial on Premiere. In the last video we just set up our project and imported one video file, which is this lion footage right here. So let's take a look at this. I've double-clicked to load it up into this source window. Now let's look at the source window and how we can move around here. First of all, we see this over here. This is time code. This is frames, seconds, and minutes, hours. So this little guy right here is actually our playhead, and now we're scrubbing. So when I scrub, you can see that we can play forward and backward, and we see the time code changing. We can even type in time code right here. So if I typed in 10, that took us right to 10 frames. If I typed in 10:00, that takes us right to 10 seconds. So that's another way to navigate. Now if you have a touch wheel or a scroll bar, you can scroll through by just simply changing that. And then if we look at our options down here, we can see that we can add a marker, which we'll discuss more of later, which we just put a mark here indicating this particular time code. We can set an in point and an out point. And that's important because if we wanted to trim this up a little bit, we might move out to a certain place, go ahead and set an in point. Notice that we've got the teal right here now. Scrub out to where we want it to stop and hit the out point. And then this would be the new video clip that we could bring down into our timeline. And we could do that using an insert or overwrite method, which we'll talk about in the next video. To continue looking at how we can move around with this stuff, I'm going to try to remove my in and out points. So I use the control click, and then I went to clear in and out, and that got rid of my in and out points. This right here would allow us to navigate straight to the in point. This allows us to step back one step at a time. Notice that it also indicates a keyboard shortcut of the left arrow key. So if I click that, I'm going by one frame at a time. This right here is our toggle for play and stop. And over here we can now step forward. And here we can just jump to the out point if we wanted to do that. And lastly, over here is an export frame. So if I clicked on this, I can actually export out an image of this particular frame. Now, one last thing to look at over here is that the way we view this. Right now we're viewing it at fit. Here it is at 10%. 100%, and you can see it fills up a little bit more, but this gives you options on how you view the source. Up here at the top we also have some other options, which we'll get into some of those later. Now this is great for navigating, but the keyboard shortcuts are much more effective and faster to work with. So I would suggest that you use the keyboard shortcuts. Let's talk about those. If you put your right hand on the keyboard with your index finger on the J, and K is in the middle finger and the ring finger is L, we can use J, K, and L to move around this video. If I hit J once, I'm going in reverse. K is the pause. When I hit L, now I'm going forward. If I hit J twice, then it does a fast rewind. And if you do 3 times, I'll do that on the F going forward, it goes extremely fast. Now that's an easy way to move around. If we want to go very precise, we use the arrow keys. So I can go frame at a time. And if we just want to sort of peruse through this, we can hit the space bar, and that starts and stops the video. In addition to the J, K, and L keys working so nicely, notice that the I and the O key are right above. So I can actually navigate to a certain spot, hit the letter I to set an endpoint, and then move out, and then I simply hit the letter O, and that sets an out point. And that's how we use keyboard shortcuts, J, K, and L, to move around. The last one as a little bonus would be that if you hold down the K and the L, we go in slow motion. Or the K and the J, and we go in slow motion backwards. Okay, well that concludes the working around video. In the next video, we'll look at using the insert and the overwrite buttons.